and Margot have to leave in 20 minutes. So what we thought was, if any discussions, thoughts, please feel that you can, I think there's microphones around, aren't there? Okay. If anybody would like to show by raising their hands, and I could ask you to name yourself if you wish, but if I could be as tactful as I can, or even tactless, by saying, could you keep it short? Okay, thank you. Nora?
Nora Owen is my name. I have a number of hats, sometimes get a little heavy, but I am a member of AWEPA, and I'm also on the Council of Concern. First of all, I'm delighted to see so many young people here today, because it's not just us older ones who have to keep this agenda alive. We have to have people coming up who are recognising that the agenda has not been fully delivered for rights of women. And if we want an example of that, we only have to look at what happened in PwC during the week here, where girls' names were put up on a website. But what was even more worrying to me was the fact that newspapers giving out about that happening then proceeded to put them out into the public arena again. So there's a gap there. My question really is to Margot, and I spoke some years back at a conference about violence against women, and issues were raised about the number of perpetrators of violence against women who were wearing the UN flag on their beret or somewhere else. I want to know what sanctions are available where it is clear it is members of UN forces that are carrying out this violence in many, many conflict areas, and what discussions are going on with the governments of those troops when they are found to be guilty. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. What I'm going to try and do, if it's okay with Margot and Mary, is try and take a couple of questions in order that we can get the best out of this, and then ask Margot to answer. There's somebody over there. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean somebody. I mean, very nice person over there. Okay.
Hi, my name is Myrna Dwyer. My question is for both Margaret Wallstrom and Mary Robinson, and it's in two parts, if that's okay. Two parts to the question, but it's very quick.
Okay. You're testing me, go on.
Are there components of national action plans established by other countries that include provisions for how issues of conflict affect women arriving in such countries who are seeking asylum? And then the second part of the question is, have issues such as immigration laws been reformed anywhere to deal with issues like GBV and FGM in terms of people seeking asylum and how that's related?
Could you just hold there a minute? Have both of you got the points? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm just going to take there's somebody at the very back. Thank you. Okay.
I'm Joan Smith. I'm a trustee of GAPS UK, but also, as you can recognise, a member of various organisations in the north. But I'm a long-standing member of UNIFEM, and I'd really want to know, do you really feel that the monitoring process that's going to take place, and indeed the visibility of women, is going to be assisted or hindered by the way the women's organisations are being brought together at the UN? Because we all have different identities and different issues to bring forward, and I'm really interested in your views on the strength of women at the UN, and is it strengthening them? Thank you.
Okay, those are three very, very, so if you permit me, I'm going to stop there because they're very varied questions, and I'd like to ask if Margot could respond to the question about sanctions in terms of peacekeepers. Okay.
This is, of course, a very important question, and it's always raised to me. I'm always asked, so what about the peacekeepers themselves, if they are also accused of sexual exploitation and abuse? There is a very strict policy established within the EU of zero tolerance against sexual exploitation and abuse. And I think that we can see also very clearly results of these soldiers, of course, immediately being sent back, taken out of their service and sent back to their respective countries. This is where the weakness lies, because we cannot control exactly what happens to them when they come home to their country of origin. And this is where it's important to continue to engage with the troop and police contributing countries to make sure that this is followed up, because the UN doesn't have any authority or competence to sort of punish them, but we don't have our own sort of police and justice system, but we have to trust that these countries deal with it. And that dialogue is an ongoing one. And this is, of course, for the Department of Peacekeeping Operations within the UN to make sure that this policy is followed up. But these questions are raised all the time, so there is definitely much higher attention to it, and much more is being done. There is also a disciplinary unit within the UN that deals with this type of issues, and a code of conduct that is established for the peacekeepers. And it's important that they are also well prepared, that they are well trained, and that they know exactly what is expected of them, what they can do and what they cannot do. So it's on the agenda of the UN, and I think it is improving, but we have to do more to engage with the troop and police contributing countries. On UN Women, I mean, I think it's fantastic that we now have Michelle Bachelet at the helm of UN Women. For sure it will take some time before all these 4 old entities is sort of absorbed into the new UN Women, and they will have a very broad mandate. They will cover everything from women's poverty to female genital mutilation, and I think it will take some time before they have found exactly how to work on all of these things. But I'm hopeful that will give us further strength, and with somebody with such long experience, political experience, I think that they are well equipped, and I of course will contribute and cooperate with them as much as I can, and I guess that in the end also that they will want to have sort of the overall responsibility of following up on women, peace and security, although I am also happy that this is now in the Security Council, that it is not seen as a women's issue, but it is actually a peace and security issue. But I have no doubt that we will be able to work very well together, and will reinforce each other's work. I hope that what I'm doing now can help to, if it's a tide, I hope it can lift many boats.
Okay, thank you. Could I ask Mary perhaps to deal with a 2-part question?
Okay, I'm not aware myself of any specific national action plans that refer specifically to asylum seekers. The national action plans vary a lot, and I think it'd be a research piece of work to trawl through them and see which do. Or for that matter, I'm not aware of immigration laws that have been specifically revised on gender-based violence. But maybe the point of your question is there's now here in Ireland a wide consultative process involving different departments, so the issue can in fact be raised in the Irish context insofar as it's thought to be relevant. And maybe just a brief comment to support and build on what Margaret was saying about UN Women. I think there is a big challenge facing Michelle Bachelet, and she's more than aware of it. She has these 4 entities, and by January they have to be transformed into UN Women. And I was able to give her a piece of advice, because when I became High Commissioner for Human Rights, I was the 2nd High Commissioner, but in the meantime there was the first reform package of the UN, which did away with an earlier entity that was side by side with the first High Commissioner. There was the High Commissioner for Human Rights, and there was the Centre for Human Rights, which had preceded the Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights. And the head of the Centre and the first High Commissioner for Human Rights didn't speak to each other. It was holy war. And when I took over, there wasn't supposed to be any centre. All the people were working for the now High Commissioner, and yet people kept referring to the Centre for Human Rights. And I realised I had to take this very seriously, so I decided that I would not in practice, but in saying it, anybody who mentioned, and as far as the Centre for Human Rights, nope, you're fined. Mention the centre and you're fined. So I had a discussion with Michelle Bachelet. I said, anybody who after January mentions UNIFEM or OSAGI or DAW, find them. And she laughed. But also she needs resources, she needs support She's very keen to link with civil society. She's now got an executive board of, I think it's 41 members or something, so that's the government side of things, and she wants to have an advisory council, but she also very much wants to link with civil society. And I would imagine, she'd be very interested in something like the Joint Consortium in Ireland on its broad mandate. So.
Okay, thank you. I actually just picked that. I think this is the role the consortium can play, this link between the global and the local, because the struggle at the global level, Mary, Margot, Michelle, others, they need the reinforcement and knowledge and expertise and information coming from. It's a two-way process. Okay.